for Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. It's on the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here?
Back for Brownell! Saved by the keeper! Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Comes up a shot.
Oh, and a goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast full-time show as the nil-nil Kings strike again. A tough watch yesterday, and I've been one that's trying to sort of like keep a positive mindset about it. And yesterday, even though it wasn't as negative from us, I felt as the Leeds game, it was still an awful watch, a tedious watch, and probably one of the worst ones of the season. Because with all due respect to Portsmouth, we are expected to do better against them than we are against Leeds. Is probably the best way I can word it without offending maybe any Portsmouth fans in the chat, because there were some comments yesterday from Portsmouth fans saying that we were arrogant because we expected to go there and win, but they were in League One last season, we were in the Premier League last season. We have a right to be able to go to Portsmouth and expect to win a football match, in my opinion. But Andrew, as you can see, he's also here with me. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah. Finally woke up after yesterday's match.
Yeah. We are expecting Sam to join at some point. He is running late. It was meant to be me, Andrew, and Sam, so fingers crossed Sam joins late, but he isn't answering his WhatsApp messages now. So we shall see. We might get a Sam rant. Obviously when Sam joins, I will bring him in. But good to see all the usual names in the chat. Graham Jennings did put this before we went live. He says, I won't be able to join live, but good luck breaking down another Boa Fest. To be fair, these podcasts sometimes can be difficult to do when it's 0-0 and there's not much to talk about. We will do very well to get an hour out of this, I think. But as usual, we'll just talk shite for 55 minutes and I'm sure we can manage it. Jamie Brown says, evening, Clarets. Evening, Jamie. Scott O'Sullivan says, evening, old chaps. Let's stay positive tonight. Hopefully a signing or two. We'll do well to be positive. What we're talking about that match. AJ Claret says, evening, lads. Stuart Rhodes says, evening, chaps. Murphy Brown's in the chat again, being his usual self. He says, this podcast was bad when we were winning. I'm dreading to think what it's going to be like now it's 0-0. Well, you watch every single week, mate. No one forces you to. Dominic Hall says, evening, gentlemen. I think that's meant to say, Dom. Can't wait for this. It's going to be epic. I'm not sure about epic, mate. It's going to be just as bad as the football. There's nothing to talk about. Jamie Brown says, the signings won't fix Parker's mindset. That's the problem we have. I see the positives. He's died already. Chase the Dream says, might be a short show if we're talking about the highlights. David Gold says, absolute boredom. It's one thing being defensively magnificent, but the lack of fire and attacking prowess keeps us in this league. Chase the Dream as well says, we've options on the bench, yet the passive SP brings Barnes on in the 89th minute. He clearly didn't want to go and win that game against 20th in the league. Completely agree. I do think it's a Parker thing and a mindset thing, and he's just too cautious, in my opinion, and needs to release the shackles. Scott also said, hopefully Sam's had a skinful and we'll go on a humongous rant. Fingers crossed, mate. An answer to the text message would be nice, Sam, if you're listening. Chase the Dream says, as others said, signings won't chase it. Lee says, evening, mate. Scott O'Sullivan says, Andrew's more consistent than Esteve. I mean, honestly, Andrew, no matter if I did a stream at 3 a.m, I know for a fact Andrew would be there doing it as well. Good to see Claret and Blues in the chat. Claret and Blue 1882. He says, evening Claret, still coming down from yesterday's edge of your seat game. Claret Al says, evening Claret, it's a bit late, but this should be good. I've literally just started, mate. You're not late at all. Chaser Dream says, that's the highlights discussed. On to the issues. Murphy Brown says, why didn't he put Benson on again? We'll get into stuff like that, Murphy, as well. But yeah, I do feel like that was an obvious sub. Maybe he's just not there in terms of fitness, but if that's the case, then he shouldn't be on the bench, should he? To be fair, AJ Claret says the nil-nils are the detriment to the club. I know if you are watching it at home on Tuesday, or rather than travelling for a 0-0. Yeah, there's a few that I know as well who literally live in Burnley. John O'Green says Barnes on in the 89th min when Benson sat there. Yeah, bizarre subs, mate. Ross Williamson says, evening guys, I will take on any man and his dog. And Rick says, evening. Right then, the niceties are done. Time to get into it, Andrew. I'm not sure how would you sum up the game, mate? What were your thoughts on yesterday's game? Please talk for longer than 10 seconds.
Pathetic, to be honest. Like, if I could sum it up, it were. We said last week that against teams like Leeds, you can accept a 0-0 draw as long as you go and make a statement after it. And like in isolation, the draw against Leeds, it was a good point. A 0-0 draw against a team like Portsmouth, like no disrespect to Portsmouth, they have been brilliant at home. Like they are a good side at home, and you know we all know that the Championship's hard, and you know any team can beat any team on its day. You know, so complete no disrespect to Portsmouth, but that was a game that we should have been at least going and trying to get all 3 points. And we set up the way that we set up, looked like we'd gone for the 3 points, but then the players on the pitch didn't actually put that effort in. And like, I'll keep banging the drum about how amazing we are defensively because 20 clean sheets for Trafford, 21 in the league all season. You know, it's absolutely brilliant. Still 9 goals conceded. It is absolutely fantastic. But it means absolutely bugger all if you're not going to go put the ball in the back of the net at the other end. And we just look toothless. Like, I know people say, like, I know that you said in the chat, like, players in the wrong positions don't help. They really don't. It really doesn't help. But you still expect those players in those positions to be able to do the simple things. And yesterday, like, we couldn't pass the ball in the midfield. You know, players couldn't make runs. There were so many passengers in yesterday's game, which we've slated Brownhill off for this season. You know, we said that he got, yeah, exactly. Like we've said that he goes missing in games, and he does. Like, fair enough. Like, you can't argue against it. But we missed him yesterday because we had no midfield. It was basically non-existent. And the way that I look at it is, it's the way that I'm going on sounds like there were no chances. Like, we did create some chances, like you'll see on the stats there. But overall, it was just absolutely dire. And yeah, we need to start turning these 0-0s into wins because honestly, it was just poor.
Yep. It really, really was. And I know some people will look at that and say, you know, an XG of 0.78 isn't horrendous. It's higher than the Leeds game, but, you know, that's not difficult. That was awful in terms of a spectacle. But obviously, we were outplayed in that sense by Portsmouth. We did have more of the ball. We had nearly, 20% more possession than Portsmouth of the ball, but did less with it. 14 shots to their 17. We did have 6 on target, to be fair, to their 3. But I think an XG of 0.78, and again, I mean it with the greatest of respect, and any Pompey fans in the chat will start giving me grief at any point. I'm sure they will, just like they did on yesterday's video. But we should be going to a place like Portsmouth and expecting better than that. Not necessarily expecting to go there to turn them over. That's not the thing that I'm annoyed about. I'm not annoyed that we drew. If we'd have had a goal and drawn 1-1, or had a goal and drawn 0-0 even, I'd have been fine with it. But we just didn't really have a goal yesterday. And I just felt that in terms of the game, Portsmouth dragged us down to their level. I thought they were probably the better team in the middle, which I think is what I was going back to, and I know you said it as well, that we missed Brownhill. I completely agree. Yes, he did go missing against Leeds, and he did go missing against Sunderland. Two of the better midfields in the Championship, to be fair, Leeds and Sunderland. Portsmouth, with all due respect, aren't a better team in the Championship in terms of their midfield. So I think Brownhill would have helped you up loads yesterday. I just felt like we were missing that quality on the ball, because time and time again we did that thing that Trafford does, where he holds the ball. People call it time wasting. It's not time wasting. Let's get it right. Time wasting is. He did do a bit of time wasting, to be fair, in certain parts, when Pompey were on top. But the point where I'm referring to is when he holds the ball and he keeps hold of it and he's trying to entice their players in. And he does that so often. And in some games it works. But yesterday, when you don't have players who have quality on the ball in the middle, it doesn't work, because the amount of times that we pass it around the back and then we try and break the lines by passing it into the middle, and then Loren or Sarmiento would get the ball and they just miscontrol it or pass it away. You need players in the middle who are good with the ball at their feet, who can receive the ball on the half turn and then take it, and then you break the lines. One thing I will say, and I know I said it on the fan reaction yesterday, and I'm not blaming this for the poor performance. I thought we should have adapted to this, and we didn't, because I do feel like yesterday we was very one-dimensional and didn't change anything at all, and just kept going, doing the same things and getting no joy out of it. Is the pitch didn't help. It was a very, very, very bubbly pitch. It were awful. It felt like they were growing potatoes on it. And I don't think that helped at all. But what I think was the main reason as to why we couldn't beat that press is how well they pressed us. They pressed us very, very well. But again, we should have the quality in the middle to be able to beat a press by a team who's all the way down in 20th, in my opinion. But I feel like Brownhill would have helped loads on that. And just to reiterate the fact that, I know a certain Facebook page who I won't mention, I won't give them the time of day, has said that it looks like the end for Brownhill at Burnley. It's not. He missed yesterday because of a rib injury. And as I said on Twitter, it will be something dramatic will have to happen for him to be leaving tomorrow. That dramatic thing may have happened and I might not know about it, to be fair. But fingers crossed he's there on Tuesday night. Fingers crossed he's got over this rib injury. And, fingers crossed he can really help us, because I'm not looking forward to Tuesday at all. I'm really not. I'm already thinking it's going to be a boring game. It's going to be awful. And I genuinely believe if we draw 0-0 to Oxford, the boos will be coming out. And I'm not one to boo. I'm not one to boo. And I won't on Tuesday. But I understand if people do on Tuesday, because you can't be drawing 0-0 again. Again, with all due respect to Oxford, we need to make a statement now on Tuesday. That sounds bad, that considering that we're playing Oxford and we're calling for a statement against Oxford. Go on, Andrew. You look like you want to say something.
I completely agree. No disrespect to say Oxford or Portsmouth. I know a lot of Portsmouth fans have jumped on the fan reactions and left comments and stuff. And as much as the performance was poor from us, I thought Portsmouth were the better side. I agree with you that they were the better side in the middle of the pitch. And honestly, I feel like we got away with it yesterday. But the fact that we've not scored a goal this year at home, we've 0-0s. What is it, like four out of the last 5 games have been 0-0 or something. If we draw 0-0 on Tuesday night, it's gonna turn hostile. I think the fans have had a lot of patience last season with everything that happened with Company. Obviously with how dire we were last season, how boring it's been this year. Like, I'm probably the 1% who's like, oh yeah, I still enjoy going on. I'm still looking forward to Tuesday night. But if it's 0-0 on Tuesday night and it's absolutely dire, which it was yesterday, it was against Leeds, it's going to get hostile. Like, we have to put a big statement in, because you look at Leeds and Sunderland and Sheffield United, that gap is starting to get a little bit bigger, and the gap between us, Sunderland, and then down the road starting to close a little bit. We need to, make a statement and actually go for it on Tuesday night.
We need to start winning games. I agree, and we need to. I I'll get berated for this because obviously it's a positive comment in the middle of negativity. I still think we make second. I'm still not a massive fan of Sheffield United. They laboured to beat Derby yesterday. All right, we laboured to a 0-0 draw. I get it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how everything settles down in terms of Sheffield United and their signings. But I'm digressing a little bit. Let's stick to Burnley. Martin Stevens said it's not often I agree with Martin. I'll be honest, he's the most miserable man on earth. But he says it's time to drop Loren or Cullen for a more attacking midfielder. In my opinion, I agree. Obviously not Cullen. That would be stupid. Loren, I think I was crying out for him at the start of the season, and I thought he started life, in a Burnley shirt, very, very good, very, very well. I just think recently he's shown why he was worth 500k. I feel like he isn't good enough on the ball in these sort of games. He constantly miscontrols it. He constantly gives it away. And I just feel like personally, I'd be dropping Loren for John Joe Shelvey if he's fit enough. Somebody who can ping a ball about, somebody who can control the ball. Fingers crossed, he is fit enough. And Brownhill will be back in that 10 role because Sarmiento, absolutely awful in that 10 role he was yesterday. Joey Shilling, good to see you in the chat, mate. He says Stevie Wonder looks more likely to score than us recently. Yeah, keep your comments coming in. And obviously, when it's just two of us, it can be a struggle. I know there's been some people who do constantly sort of message me saying, "Oh, when you're struggling for people, can you get us on?" I genuinely would have done today, but obviously I was under the impression that Sam would be here. Next week, I think the guy knows who I'm referring to. I'm not sure if he's in the chat, but I'll be messaging you, getting you on next week, mate, so you can make your debut next week. Tommy Hargreaves says, can't wait for Ramsey to come back. I would be very surprised if we see Ramsey this season. From what I've heard, I don't think he'll play this season. Lee Morgan says, missed Brownhill, but Shelvey could have had started rather than Sarmiento. That's what I would have done. Not for Sarmiento, to be fair. But for maybe Loren, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. Before this, I was Loren's biggest fan, but it's just over the last few games, I don't think he's been great. And again, when you're playing against Leeds and Sunderland, you kind of look at it and think, yeah, fair enough. But when he's playing poor against Pompey, you're thinking, right, maybe it's time for a rest. Clara Al says, for the first time in 32 years, I'm looking at the cost of 3 season tickets and the cost that goes with attending match and considering letting it go and just do walk on. Interesting, mate. That's a debate for a different day. But the deadline's just gone, so I presume you've already renewed, to be fair. I know I have anyway. I was there on what day are it? Thursday, Friday, spending far too much money at the club shop, as usual. Brian Gott says, I don't mind the 0-0 draw as long as we peppered their goal and the goalkeeper pulled off some worldies. We seemed to play into their hands with long balls. Their back line was huge, quicker, passing from back to front, and I don't mean looping it onwards and upwards. Yeah, pretty much. This is my main gripe as well. I know you mentioned it already, Andrew, but it's the square pegs in the round holes. He says, move Foster, Fleming and Sarmiento around one place. Why isn't Foster in front of Fleming? This is the thing that winds me up. This is the thing that annoys me the most with Parker, right? So yesterday on the pitch, you had Sarmiento, who plays more as like a wide forward / winger in the 10, but isn't his role. You've got Fleming playing as a striker who plays more as a 10. That's more of his role. So playing as a striker isn't his role. And then you've got Foster on the left side of the front three, who's more of a striker. Like Lee says, just move them all around one position. And I genuinely believe would have been better. That's my main gripe with Parker. The square pegs in the round holes and the insistency on, we can see it doesn't work. Stop doing it. Andrew, you look like you want to speak. Go on.
I can see putting Fleming in the role that he was in yesterday because he's scored 8 goals for us now this season in that position. I can see that. But Foster, as much as I've berated him the last few weeks and stuff since he's back from injury, he ain't a left winger. We all know he's not a left winger. We know he's a centre forward. If he's going to be on the pitch, he needs to be in that position. Sarmiento, like you say, he's not a 10. He is a winger. He should be in that position. I know that when he did play in the 10 earlier in the season, he looked good, but he was poor yesterday in that position. He basically missed half the game. And Fleming, like you said, I do get having him in that position, but if you've got a centre forward and we've lost, we've not got Brownhill to play in that position, then why not drop Fleming back and put Foster in that role? I can see playing Fleming in that role, but if you are going to have Foster on the pitch, you have to play him in his position. Yeah, I'm with you.
It don't make any sense to me. I just want to address this comment from Ross as well. I put it on screen. Get someone who goes away on. Mate, I got to plenty of away games just because I didn't go all the way to Portsmouth yesterday. So stop talking shit, mate. You watch pretty much every week as well, so I'm surprised at that. I go on plenty of away games, mate. So let's not be arsey about it. Yeah, Sam needs a yellow card, says Scott O'Sullivan. I agree, mate. We've been on nearly half an hour now and he's still not responded. And another comment as well from GST. Bring back Layfield. I'd love to bring back Layfield, mate, but he's another one that doesn't answer WhatsApp messages these days. Joey Shilling says, I might be up for making a guest appearance. Drop me a message, mate. It's looking like we're going to be needing people. Joe Rant, love it. Was that a rant? I just don't know. I don't think it is, to be fair. But I just don't get. I don't get the insistency of playing people out of position and the stubbornness surrounding it. I just want to bring this one up as well. Bring back Phillips, says Kieran. Absolutely not, mate. Absolutely not. Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me the most is the insistency of playing people out of position. And I just feel like look at Foster, for example, right? He's played five games at left wing now, I think. He's played well against Reading and Plymouth. He's played poorly against Sunderland and Leeds and now Pompey. That proves to me that it doesn't work. He's played well against Reading and Plymouth. You could probably stick Andrew on the left wing and he'd do all right against Plymouth and Reading. You know what I mean? I think that shows that it doesn't work. The insistency on playing people out of position is just mind-boggling, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I don't, like I say, I've berated Foster quite a lot this season, so I don't want to go into him again. But like he's not a left winger, and like I say, the two games where he has looked half decent in that position was one against League One opposition in the cup, and the other one where we've somehow put 5 goals past a side that's near the bottom of the table. Like that's it sort of says it all for me. But if you're going to have him on the pitch, you have to have him up front.
Yeah. Lee's fan in the chat, putting you in timeout, mate. Can't be asked. You weren't so vocal last week, were you, pal? But yeah, thanks for the 4 points as well. But yeah, completely agree, mate. It just baffles me. It just baffles me. Right. There was, however, if the referee, mind you, I was going to say if the referee had done his job, we should have had a penalty and we could have potentially won the match. However, I also believe Connor Roberts should have been sent off late in the first half. So I guess if the referee was doing his job, then it could have been different. Leeds fan in the chat. Don't mind nice Leeds fans when they're not just spamming the fucking chat with ALAW. It says both Burnley and Leeds fans crying to our mushy peas right now over what we had and what we lost with Chris Wood. Yeah, Chris is doing very well at Forest, to be fair, but he did very well for Burnley, but never really got the credit. But again, I don't want to digress. I want to stick with this. Right, Andrew. Thoughts on the penalty? Right. I know you've seen it. However, I do just want to quickly bring this image up. Everybody in the chat, let me know what you thought about this, right? So that is the first that you could just see I don't know who hit it. I think it's Anthony. I can't remember who hit the shot, but you could just see the player hitting the shot underneath the guy's arm there, right? So you can't obviously see any ball hitting the hand there because it's not happening at this point, right? The reason why I brought this image in is because the main defense from Portsmouth fans was he had his arms tucked into his body. So therefore, it's not a penalty. When the shot is being taken, his hands are not tucked into his body, right? This is the hand incident. Look at that. The hands have moved. Is that tucked into his body? I'm sorry. Are his hands tucked into his body there? No, they're not. If anybody sees that and thinks that's ball to hand or it's not handball because his hands are tucked into his body, you're talking shit. I'm sorry. You're absolutely... I was quite annoyed yesterday. It was Perez. Sorry, Kieran. Thank you. I think you did say Andrew, actually. But yeah, anyway. But it's just balmy. Like, how anybody could look at that and say it's not a penalty is absolutely... It's just mind-boggling. It really, really is. And Andrew, before I get your opinion on it, I know I always sit here and say, I can't show a video because of copyright issues. Well, what I've done, I found a workaround. And there's a brilliant Portsmouth channel called 4-0 written all over it, right? And he's a vlogger. He does some brilliant vlogs. It's his footage, this. This is his footage, so I'll give a big shout out to that channel now. Go and watch the vlog over on the Portsmouth channel now, 4-0 written all over it. But this is how it happened in real time with a view from the stands. Obviously, these are just replays, and I've zoomed in a bit there on that one, but scandalous, absolutely scandalous. I do not get how that's not given. The referee may be fair enough. There's a lot of bodies in the way. I've not seen it from his angle. Potentially, you can forgive if there's loads of bodies in the way, but how people can sit there and argue that's not a penalty is absolutely beyond me. But Andrew, I presume you think it was a penalty.
No, it's both hands. It's one of them. It's just no. It's. Do you know what? I've seen it back so many times, and I thought it's awful. Like, I can't understand it. How no one seeing that as given it as a penalty. Like, the lad doesn't realise we're playing football, not basketball. It was absolute. Yeah. Like, he's caught it and knocked it down. Like, it was just awful. But the more that I've seen the footage, like the highlights and stuff, it looks bad. But watching it from the stand, like, that makes it so much worse. Because when you see it on TV, you think, oh yeah, it's a bad shot. Maybe it went where referee couldn't see it, this, that, and the other. But seeing it from stand, that was blatant. Like that, that's awful. But I do agree with you on the fact that Roberts probably could have got sent off, so maybe it does even itself out. But that lad were on a yellow card as well, and he's handled it, denying a goal scoring opportunity, so he would have walked as well. So it's baffling, and we've seen bad decisions this season. Like, we've seen really bad decisions this season, but that for me is the worst one. Like, it's just.
I think the Sunderland penalty was the worst one. I think in the end, that one's not so bad because it worked out for us. But 3 yards out of the box, and they got a penalty for that one. But it's bizarre. I do agree. Connor Roberts should have been sent off. It should have been a penalty. That one's back on your screen now, just for anybody who thinks he had his arms tucked into his stomach the whole time. It's absolute bollocks. As you can see, his arms are nowhere near his stomach there. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling that some people, and again, I know they were wearing Portsmouth tinted glasses and stuff, so that's fair enough. But how anybody can say his hands were tucked into his body there. I think Brian, I don't know if you're in the chat, mate. But Brian uses Facebook comments a lot on Facebook. He put a funny comment on one of the pictures yesterday. He put, if he had a pen, he could have signed the ball. He held it for that long. But it genuinely did. He could have started playing basketball. But yeah, Dominic says penalty. Clara Al says it wasn't just handball. He juggled with it. Just needed a ringmaster and a unicycle, for God's sake. Kyle says Roberts probably should have been sent off, but it wasn't the same level of mistake as a two-handed save on the goal line. Yep, agree. Kieran Phillips says Stevie Wonder would have given that. Shocking. Wayne Ingham says handball, mate. Brian, he's the guy I'm referring to, who said if he had a pen. Says ref looked like he was going to give it from where I was sat. Jamie Brown says, one of the most obvious pens you'll see all season. Aussie G says, nailed on penalty. I thought my stream had switched to the Six Nations. That's pretty funny, that, mate. When was the last time we had a penalty? Genuine question. Stoke away. Another away game I was at, by the way, Ross, if you're still there. Stoke away. We got one against them. And that was Jay Rodriguez's last goal, that. If you don't believe me, Ross, there's a... yeah, we'll get into that, mate. Don't worry. There's a vlog on my TikTok. Penalty to Sunderland, says Martin. Bollocks, says John O'Green. He nearly caught the effing ball. Evening, lads. Sorry, late again. There you go, Murphy. You did say earlier on, no one's going to say I've joined late, so I'm saying it for later. I'm even going to star it in case Murphy comes back and starts spouting his usual rubbish. John O'Green says, yeah, Stonewall penalty. Sam is benched. Joe rants are better. He might be benched, mate. He's let me down. His message has been out saying unlikely. So, yeah, we'll see. He might be benched. Where was Humphreys? Pretty sure he was on the bench, wasn't he? I can't remember exactly. MJH Gaming says linesman should have seen that. He juggled the ball and a picture of a basketball. Yeah, absolutely scandalous, to be fair. But, a bad decision. But I agree. I tweeted yesterday saying bring VAR to the Championship. That's how mad I was. I genuinely don't believe that. I don't want to see VAR. When I can sit here not angry about it, I could just say, I don't want VAR in the Championship. I was just saying it through emotion. And I do agree that over the course of the season, it evens itself out. But I genuinely believe over the last 10 games, we have, had so many different penalty decisions that have gone against us. Like, obviously, the two against Sunderland, well, one of them against Sunderland, the first one's never a penalty. I still stand by the fact I think the second one is Son's diving in for no reason. But then we should have had two against Plymouth. And the only reason I think the ref didn't give them, he might have bottled it like this ref has done, is because we're already tanking. He probably felt it's a bit harsh, to be fair. But yeah, Simon Woodhouse says pen and could have been sent off. Swansea, was it not the same ref? I can't remember, mate. Sam not here gives you a chance to talk, says Lee. He's not going to be happy about that if he sees that, Lee. Sam wants sacking. He's not come because he's realised how shit Brownell actually is. He did play Brownell, to be fair, yesterday, so he can't criticise Brownell. We did miss him, though. Linesman couldn't see over the corner flag, says Brian. But yeah, awful refereeing. And yeah, it's poor for me. But I do think over the course of the season, it evens itself out. The best one that from my memory is the Blackburn Rovers goal that was offside, miles onside. So we'll take that one, and obviously Preston the same as well. So yeah, but we should have had a lot more penalties. We should have had a lot more penalties. Right, we're going to talk about something that I didn't want to talk about because I think it's a ridiculous debate, in my opinion. I'm allowed that opinion before anyone says. But Claret Blue 1882 commented this on the stream earlier and said, shall we reopen the Parker out debate? Hold on, can I just go back? Leeds should have had a penalty against Burnley, should they? What am I missing there? I don't remember.
That where I can't even remember where Laurent went into one. Anthony went into one of them. And
get a grip. Yeah, that's never a penalty. Pathetic comment. That's never a penalty. Get a grip, mate. Get a grip. Anyway, moving on. Gas Orals or whatever your name is. Ridiculous comment. Claret Blue 1882. Right. No, we shan't, basically, is what I'm saying. Look, in my opinion on this is, and I know it's not entertaining. That's fine. Like, I know it's not entertaining. I do agree. Maybe a more attack-minded manager might have us closer to Leeds or even above them. But I do think Leeds have a better squad than us. So I think we probably are where we are. I don't think Sheffield United have a better squad than us all, to be fair. I do think we've probably got the second best 11 and the second best starting in the league. By the way, Murphy Brown, if you're still in the chat, Harry's late as well. Starring that one for when he's back. He says, late again, I'm Western Joe at this point. This slander about me being late needs to stop, by the way, because I am always on time. But yeah, the Parker out debate. For me, in my opinion, sacking a manager when you're 17 games unbeaten while you're third in the league is just ludicrous. And I genuinely believe, in Claret Blue 1882, I like you. You're always in the streams. I appreciate your support, mate. But I just think, no. It's a ridiculous comment. And I know Martin's in the chat as well. He wants Parker out. He's probably bashing on his keyboard now really angrily. But 17 games unbeaten, lost 2 all season. The best defensive record in the league ever. All right, we're not great going forward. I'll caveat that with that. It's pretty obvious. But to even have this debate when you're third in the league, knocking on the door of the top 2, I just think it's ludicrous. So no, for me, Parker in. Andrew, your thoughts, please.
I don't even see how it's a question. We're third in the league. Like, Parker's come in, and the goal is to get out of this league. There's no, this is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. Like, there's no divine right that you should have 90% of the ball and put the ball in the back of the net 7 times every single game. Like, there's no divine right of that. And you look at the games where we've had decisions go against it. Like, I don't want to go back to referees and, blame it and everything, but you look at the decisions we've had against us, like, was it Anthony against West Brom?
Yeah, that's a bad one, that one as well, yeah.
That goes in with 3 points close to the top, a couple of other You know what I mean, though? Like a couple of
Yeah,
other decisions that have gone against us, where like that penalty. Say that penalty yesterday, we get that and we score, and the one against West Brom, we're top of the league. Like there's little things that all right in the game and in the moment might just be, oh, that should have gone other way, whatever. Yeah. But we're still in it. We're still in it, and all right, Leeds are top of the league. They're 5 points clear. Ooh, look at us, cheers for 4 points. But literally, like it's literally the start of February. You sack your manager when you're in the bottom three. We didn't sack Company when we were watching absolute shite football where we're getting battered every week.
Yeah.
So, I was 17 games unbeaten. I'm happy. As long as we go up this season, Parker's done the job that he's been brought in to do.
I think if we finish 7th, for example, then he goes at the end of the season. I think even if we finish in the playoffs and we don't go up in the playoffs, then yeah, fair enough, he probably goes this season. But Leeds stuck by Farke, and look at them now. All right, they've had a big influx of cash thanks to the Red Bull sponsorship. But yeah, it goes to show that even if we don't go up, teams have stuck by their manager and then look to be going up this season in Leeds. So, but for me, I do think say for example, if we finish outside the playoffs, that's unacceptable. Get gone. Do I think we'll finish outside the playoffs? Absolutely no chance. I think I've said it already. I think we finished second, but we'll see. Let me come back to that prediction when the transfer windows settle down and we know how good Sheffield United are going to be, and Sunderland as well. To be fair, let's not count them out. But for me, I'm still Parker in. As I've said, I just think it's a ludicrous thing to do, to have when we're in the position that we're in. To be fair, John O'Green says, "Who do we replace him with?" Well, don't sack him. Don't need to replace him. Aussie G says, "You're off your rocker if you'd sack Parker at the end of the transfer window." Yeah, it's another good point as well. Right at the end of the transfer window when a manager's going to come in and have another man's team, to be fair. Who'd come in now? There's as much chance of it going completely wrong as there is improving us. Parker in, says Dom. Kieran, he says, we watched Dross for years under Dyche. Some fans need to give their head a wobble. To be fair, but in the Championship, it weren't really all that bad in Dyche. In the Championship, sorry, with Dyche. In the Premier League, yeah, but that's different. Clara Owl says, it's never going to happen. However, if you're allowed to choose who takes the rest of the season between Parker, Dyche and Coop, right now, I'd choose Parker. But if we were out of a manager and said, which one of these three do you want? I'd choose Dyche. But right now, I choose Parker because he's the one in the job. And I just think it'd be stupid to change him now, in my opinion. Actually, that's a good question, that, Andrew. If you could choose now between Parker, Dyche and Cooper, bearing in mind Parker's in the job at the minute, are you like me? Parker's in the job, so he keeps it?
Yeah, Parker's in the job. He keeps it like 100%. If Parker wasn't in the job, I'd potentially be saying Dyche, but only because
I'd choose Dyche over them three if he weren't in the job.
But Parker's got 100% record of getting out of this league, and that's the aim. So,
yeah, for now, hopefully it's still 100% record at the end of the season. Chaser Dream says, Parker keeps going on about this squad doing really well as there were 16 new players. Company had the same turmoil and had us playing far better. He did, but the difference is he kept the main sort of like core of the squad, or some of the main core. Obviously, we still had Barnes, we still had, Brownhill and stuff like that. I don't feel like the turmoil in that summer, in my opinion, was as bad. But I do agree, Company did a far better job. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? To be fair, but I do think sometimes it's unfair to compare as well, because Company came in when he knew the situation. Parker came in not knowing the situation, and then the rug was pulled from under him, in my opinion.
I feel like that summer as well, like there was so much goodness going around, like happiness going around the club. We've just got the Vincent Company to come in as as the Burnley manager. We were getting players like Vitinho, who, first ever Brazilian coming to play for Burnley. We're getting players like, I don't know, Benson coming in. We were getting these randomers after we'd just spent 10 years watching us sign 35-year-olds from Stoke. Now we've had that, all that hype that we got with Company. Parker got everything ripped out from under him in a week, where the last game, the game that we were going to play after we'd lost all these players, wasn't just another game. It were bastards.
Yeah.
You know, so it's completely different situations. And yeah, fair enough, Company did what he did, but we also watched us play really nice passing football last season, and it was shite. I'd rather...
It doesn't translate to the Prem, but I'm not sure if what we're doing now will translate to the Prem, to be fair to Caviar. But that's a different debate.
Yeah, I've got more faith in this team than I did in Companies, but like I say, it's a different thing. But yeah. Like,
we'll have that debate in an international break when there's nothing else to talk about.
To ask the question of Parker in or out, it's at the minute.
Yeah, Clark 1982 says, for the record, I'm Parker in, but where we finish in this league will definitely determine the length of his tenure. Yeah, I probably do agree with that, to be fair, mate. Lee Morgan says, Parker out, no, but he needs to start putting the right personnel in the correct position. Again, I agree with that. Harry says, I just don't see how we can progress under Parker. I understand he could well take us up, but I think this side is nowhere near competing if we do go up. Again, that's fair enough. Another boring Leeds fan. Like, have you got nothing else better to do? You're getting banned, mate. Gas or us after your shit comment earlier. There you go, off your pop. Kyle Matthew Hilton says, I think we now have the fourth best squad out of the top four. Honestly, crazy. I disagree with that completely, mate. I'm not a Sheffield United signings don't worry me. Genuinely, they don't. Sunderland, they've made some good business, to be fair, and I do like their middle. And I think Leeds had a better squad anyway. Obviously, they haven't signed anybody, to be fair, or haven't yet. I think they are bringing somebody in. But he says, but I think Parker's done unbelievably well, but it's getting concerning. Given we will have a lesser squad next season. Again, we could reinvest. Obviously, a lot of these players will be leaving if we don't go up. But again, we could reinvest. We'll see. We'll see. Again, that's another debate. George Rodriguez says, good afternoon, guys. Hoping you were able to wake up from your nap after that game yesterday. MGH Gaming says, if we go up as runners-up come the end of the season, Parker will have done his job. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Lee Morgan says, if we had won 6 out of the 10 draws, we'd be at least 10 points clear. Lee Greenwood says, I thought the club's aim was to be promoted in the second season. Anyway, certainly when we went up under VK, Pace came out and said he wasn't planning an immediate return to the PL. Probably a different sort of like dynamic now, isn't it, mate, to be fair? Thank you for all the comments. They've been very, very fast today. So if I have missed one of your comments, I do appreciate it. Clara Owl says, I found the BFC YouTube video where Pace says to SP, we are signing this guy, okay with that, a little worrying. That's just how it works these days, mate. You've got to remember that Parker's not a manager, he's the head coach. And when somebody's a head coach, it does tend to work like that. I was glad they put that in there because I'm sick of people saying, why has Parker signed this player? I'm not sure Parker has much say in it, other than just sort of like saying, I like this guy, because when you look at Jadon Anthony, he's obviously a Parker signing because he played with him at Bournemouth.
He doesn't necessarily say we're signing this guy. Are you okay with that, though? Does he? He says we're going to put a bid in. Are you okay with that? Which to me, they've obviously had that conversation of looking like we all know it's Barnes now. Like we know that. We saw what happened after the Norwich game with Parker speaking with Barnes. I'm assuming behind the scenes, Pace and Parker have had that conversation of going for him. He just says we're putting a bid in. You don't know if Parker's gone to him and said, I want to bring him back. You don't know.
Yeah. Another comment I want to quickly talk about. Righteous One says, Parker uses Foster and Anthony as wing-backs. You don't genuinely believe that, do you, mate? Come on. You don't genuinely believe that Foster and Anthony are playing as wing-back. They're playing as the wide forward and being told to do defensive duties. They're not playing as wing-back, mate. Come on. Parker can be quite negative, but he's not that negative. Big comment on Facebook from Mark Lancaster, takes up half the screen, so I feel like I have to read it out. He says, I don't care how good our defensive. It's delusional to think anyone in their right mind is going to continue stumping up good money to watch this. Just to point out, Mark, I have just stumped up good money to watch this for next season. I'm sorry, but in the long run, it's not acceptable to keep serving up so many goalless games. If the board don't or can't recognise that, there is zero entertainment value in this type of football, and there are more out of touch than we may want to believe. The other issue is, if we do go up playing this way, we're going to get further and further, and then the comment must be too much to fit on the screen, mate, to be fair. I can't read it all out. Yeah, that's your opinion, mate, and you're entitled to that, but I know for a fact, even if we do 0-0 for the rest of the season and all next season, I'll still be spending good money on getting a season ticket for me and my little boy, because that's just what you do when you support the club. Let's talk about Jay Rodriguez. Andrew, I know you're a big fan of Jay. I know you're gutted that he's left. We put something in the Turfcast WhatsApp group about some murmurings of of him going to Wrexham. You were initially sort of like gutted, saying, I hope this isn't true. I hope this isn't true. Turns out, obviously, to be true. So, yeah, how do you feel about that, mate, Jay, going to Wrexham? I know he's a Burnley lad, and I know it's hard to see him leave. But, yeah, it's a move that makes sense for all parties, right? It's not good enough to really be playing for us anymore, as much as we all love him. And Wrexham's a good place to be, and a club on the up. So, yeah, good to get him off the wage bill in a way, and good to see him go to a decent club.
Nah, he's scored more goals than Foster for us this season. So, no, like, my heart, obviously, like I said, everyone knows my love for J-Rod, and like, we all love J-Rod because he is a Burnley lad. You know, like, we've seen him grow up through the years as well. Like, I don't know about you, but I was there watching the Fulham match when he came on and scored his first goal. Like, I honestly followed him all the way through. You know, when he left us, I was always signing him on FIFA for us, you know, bringing him back. Every summer I was like, oh, J-Rod might come home, you know, J-Rod might come back. So, obviously, absolutely devastated that he's gone. You know, I thought this season he was going to retire. You know, I thought he was going to retire at the club, and this was his last season playing. But he's gone to a club where he's going to get game time. You know, he's better than just being sat on our bench. He's gone to a club where he's going to get game time. As much as I dislike Wrexham and, you know, the whole Hollywood thing, which, you know, I'm a massive comic book fan, so I'm happy he's going to get to meet Ryan Reynolds. But, yeah, like, I don't like Wrexham, but I am glad that he's gone somewhere where he is going to get played and he's going to get chances. You know, they're not a team that's going to be fighting relegation. It looks like they could end up being in Championship next year. So, yeah, I'm happy for him for the move and happy for him for his career. But personally, absolutely gutted because it's J-Rod and everything he was. You know, like, you know about when I was struggling and Kiko reached out to us and, you know, meeting him for coffee and stuff. Like, that's just what sort of guy you were. So he literally was everything Burnley. But you can't argue he deserves to go and get game time.
Yeah, Martin Stevens says, glad he's gone for himself to play rather than just sit on our bench. Joey Schilling, a bit of self-advertisement in the chat there. He says, the J to Wrexham thing has been heard of since mid-November, as I called it well before the transfer window opened. I'll be honest, mate, that I didn't hear anything about it until the day it happened. But that's just me. Client Blue 1882 says, I can't believe J-Rod has gone. Would have liked him to have retired here and taken up the coaching in the academy. Well, he did put a nice little thing up on Instagram. I think he then posted it on Twitter as well, not later, saying it's goodbye for now, but I'll see you soon. So I am 99.9% confident that Jay Rodriguez will be back as a coach at Burnley Football Club within the near future. MJH Gaming says, Jay will always be a legend, but I think he knows he isn't going to be playing as much for the rest of the season. I think Barnes coming back has sealed his move, unfortunately, which I think is balmy, because a couple of years ago, the club, as a club, we decided, right, Ashley, you're not good enough to play for us anymore, off your pop. And then 2 years later, it's a case of, right, Jay, we've brought Ashley in, so now you're not good enough for us anymore, off your pop. It just, I do sometimes think that the planning by the club since the ALK have come in has been a little bit sort of like hit and miss sometimes. It don't make any sense to me. I agree they're both much of a muchness at the minute, but if you're going to get rid of one 18 months ago, whatever it was, 2 years ago, there's no point in bringing one back now to get rid of the one you kept, if that makes sense.
I think the getting rid of Barnes wasn't necessarily a ALK idea, but more a Vincent Kompany thing.
Yeah, I do think you're on right. That, to be fair, I think you're right.
A mistake.
I do think you are right on that one. To be fair, I do think it was more of a Vincent thing. Nathan Smith says it's the right time for Jay to go. Kyle Matthews says 2 years ago his championship scorer got injured halfway through the company promotion season. Yeah, that's what I mean at the end of that season with Barnsley, mate. Obviously 18 months. I corrected it in the end. Pedant. No, I'm joking, mate. Man of the match. In fact, no, we're not doing the man of the match yet. There's one more thing I want to talk about. We're only at 51 minutes. We only talked about the game for 40 minutes. We talked about Jay for 10. That's how bad the game was. We will get into the man of the match in a minute. Marcus Edwards. Good signing. A good signing. I don't know how much you know about him. Joey Shilling says, do we have an obligation to sign Zian permanently? Yes, we do. Moving on. Kyle, apologies then, mate. I was only messing anyway. I think a lot of people who I sometimes respond to on here don't realise half the time I'm taking piss. And then they don't come back when I say something that's not overly positive to them. But anyway, Marcus Edwards, from what I believe, his medical was done today. It was completed. He passed it. He's been at Gawthorpe since around 2 o'clock doing all the media stuff. So looks like it's done. It looks like it's dusted. Sunderland fans were, wanking themselves into an oblivion, for want of a better phrase, when they signed Enzo Lefebvre a couple of months ago. And to be fair, he's a very good player and a good signing. I do like Enzo Lefebvre, and I thought he played okay at the turf. Saying he's the best player the Championship's ever seen. I think we are genuinely blowing him out of the water when we announce Marcus Edwards with this signing. I think he's quick, he's good, he can run with the ball. Will Parker use him in the right way? That's a debate debate potentially for another day. If in March we keep seeing him playing wing back, a good signing, I think, Andrew. I think it's fair to say, and one that I'm happy to see that we're getting over the line.
Yeah, I think it's been it's not been the best transfer window, probably the quietest one as well since ALK came in, other than the Weghorst one. But it's not been the best transfer window. But I think him coming in is a good signing, and if we can get another striker, if we can get a striker in as well, I think we'll end up with with it actually being a good transfer window. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I just really can't wait for him to be announced, and hopefully he'll be one of many tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe, from what I was told, and without giving anything away, 2 medicals were booked, or 2 medical slots were booked. One was for Edwards. I have no idea who the other one was for. But what I will say is, I know for a fact in previous transfer windows, what they've done is they've booked more medical slots than what they needed, just in case something developed down the line with another player. So there was 2 medical slots booked. Whether they've both taken place today or one's just there in case something happens tomorrow, I'm not sure. But I'm hoping Edwards is announced tonight. If not tonight, early in the morning. But yeah, I completely agree with Phil here. So he says Edwards has to be played in the correct position. I agree. We'll see what happens. Like I said earlier, Parker might play him at wing back. GST said Edwards is great at the minute. Wait until Parker plays him at right back and coaches the attacking threat out of him. Come on, lads. Positivity. Aussie G says Edwards has had a quiet 18 months at Sporting, but he's got 40-odd goals and assists in the Portuguese top flight and was likened to Messi by Pochettino. Obviously, that's referring to his time at Spurs there, where I think he came through the academy. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I think he's had a few injuries as well, to be fair. And to be fair, a club like Burnley would not be able to sign a player like Edwards if he didn't have a quiet 18 months. You know what I mean? If he'd have carried on the trajectory that he was on, he'd be playing in the Champions League or something regularly now. He wouldn't be coming to the Championship with Burnley. So in a way, it's kind of good for us that he's had a quiet 18 months, to be fair. He's a similar class to Enzo Lefebvre, says George. Yeah, I agree with that, mate. You heard of any more possibilities for tomorrow, Joe? No, other than that, I know there's another medical box, but like I said, I don't know if it's just in case. Parker will do well to make him boring comment I got from a non-Burnley fan. Well, that's positive. That's good at least, I think. MKP Fave. Will Trezor play? Imagine both Edwards and Trezor in the team. I don't think I'm surprised we saw Trezor play against Reading, if I'm honest. He might play against Southampton. But from what I've been told, he constantly turns up to training late. He doesn't apply himself correctly, and he's constantly calling in sick or going home sick. As Parker has alluded to, that's not new news to anybody. Like he constantly goes home sick from training and stuff like that. He doesn't want to be here. He does not want to be here, anybody. If Edwards, it comes in on loan, is that all our loan slots taken? Yes, I believe so, mate. Yeah, I think that is the case. We need... Sorry, it's got to take. We need... if Edwards comes in, it's going to have to be a permanent signing, so we'll see. Maybe that guy from Chelsea, says Joy. Again, I don't think we can do the guy from Chelsea now because of Edwards coming on loan. Sack Sam, says Joe. Hopefully he watches his back, mate, and sees all the comments. I might have to relegate him to the FA Cup streams, like Trezor's been relegated to the FA Cup teams, if he carries on with this not doing anything. I am going to reach out to Neil again soon. I said I'd reach out to him in the new year, and I haven't done. I was hoping that he'd reach out to me, but I'll give him a bell this week and see if he can come back as well. Anyway, there's a lot of comments coming in about Trezor and Edwards and stuff like that, and stuff like that. Just obviously, I'm working tomorrow. I'm working nights as well, unfortunately, for the next couple of days. So there won't be any transfer streams from me or stuff like that. But if you do want to keep up to date with all the transfer rumours and stuff, just follow Turfcast on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook. Anything that I do see is instantly put on any of them streams. So any of them social media, sorry. So yeah, fingers crossed we get Edwards done. I was kind of hoping they'd announce it during the stream as well, so we could quickly go off and want to talk about it, but it doesn't appear that they have done. I'll just quickly check Twitter now. No, nothing from Burnley. Who knows? It could be announced in 2 minutes at past. But tell you what we will do. Man of the match. Let's try and do some man of the match chatting. Not sure who we can really give it for. But it'll be the usual suspects again: Esteve, CJ, potentially Trafford. Andrew, I'll let you go first on this one because I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. Get your comments coming in the chat as well. I'll put the best ones up on screen as well. Who was your man of the match for Burnley's 0-0 draw against Portsmouth?
I'm going to say Trafford for that save.
Yeah,
I honestly can't. Egan Riley played well. I thought Perez did okay. Steve played well. But yeah, Trafford. I can't give it anyone else. Shout out to the lads who went down. All the fans who went down. It's a long way to go, especially
it is
on Plymouth, and then we've got Southampton next week. But yeah, it has to be Trafford for that save. But apart from that, I really can't pick anyone else other than them three.
Yeah, to be fair, Kyle, he says man of the match Trafford for that unbelievable save, which is what you just said, Andrew. Excuse me. But yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to side with Trafford again. I thought nobody else really deserved it. Again, CJ, Esteve, usual suspects did well. I thought the fullbacks were poor, to be honest with you. Connor should have been sent off. Perez were in and out of the game, and it seems to be too easy to go past him, to be fair. For me. But yeah, get your comments coming in. Kyle on screen says, man of the match, Trafford for that unbelievable save. GST says, Trafford for the double save. Claret Owl says, Trafford for the double save, or the ref for blowing the final whistle. Just for that save alone, says MJH. Give it to the ball boy, says Dom. Our physio, says David. 12 man, so obviously the fan, says Scott. Yeah, Trafford for that save in the last few minutes. So I think it's fair to say Trafford. Trafford's the outstanding candidate here. Aussie G says Trafford save was Heaton / Schmeichel. Yeah, let's keep it at Heaton. My mate, I watched it with a mate yesterday. Obviously, I didn't go down, as Ross nicely pointed out. I have been to Portsmouth before, though, and I stayed over. But not this weekend. But he said, that save was Schmeichel-esque, and I like that Aussies use the Heaton one instead. Brian Gott says Esteve for man of the match, though. Pure class. The Pie Man, says Mark, with the nice pies, mate. 1,800 fans who constantly attend, says Phil. Yeah, Trafford, says Stu Kill. All the usual suspects for a clean sheet, says Lee. A few people saying Perez FFS after a Perez comment. Perez is poor, CJ or Esteve. People saying Perez is an attacking fullback. The last time he contributed anything was Luton away. To be fair, he played well against Plymouth, but it's Plymouth. Kyle Matthew Hilton says, hats off to anyone going down for these last 2 South Coast trips. Anyone doing all 3 needs their heads checking on. You know what? I was looking at going to Southampton until this weekend, until I watched that Portsmouth game, because it's my birthday on Sunday next week. Shout out to me. Which means I might be doing a stream on my birthday, actually. I've just thought about that. What a way to spend your birthday. We might have to give that a miss. But anyway, let's just quickly. It's 19:32 now. Let's just quickly check the Burnley Twitter. No, nothing. So Edwards is not yet. But hold on. Someone just got me. You saw then someone nearly get me. I just saw a tweet just drop from Fabrizio Romano, and it says on it, Cameron Archer to Burnley. Here we go. And I was like, what? Then I literally just looked at it, and it weren't fab. So there nearly was a moment there where I got done. Happy 50th, says Clara. If I look, cheers, mate. I'm not as young as I'd like to be. And Martin, that's just as bad. You're 10 years out, mate. And no, that doesn't mean I'm 57.
57?
But no, it doesn't mean I'm 57. Yeah, thank you and everybody. Please, we'll leave it all to next week. But tell you what, lads, we'll wrap it up there because I've got to start work in 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do now, I know Murphy Brown said he was leaving the chat, and I've not seen him since, so he probably has. But what I usually do is say, anybody who joined the stream late, then please remember that as soon as I press end stream, it stays on YouTube and on Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. And this time, Phil Tricks Wilcott says, evening, lads. Sorry late again. So, Phil, I know you joined the stream late, mate, but don't worry. Everything that you missed, you can just go and watch it back at your leisure. Harry, late again. I'm worse than Joe at this point. Again, sorry, mate. It's fine. Don't worry about being late. It's completely fine. As soon as I press end stream, then you can go back and watch it at your leisure on Facebook and on Twitter. And I will, of course, be uploading the podcast pretty much within the next half an hour, 45 minutes, and it will be there for any night shifters tonight. I know Daz is in the chat. He works night shift. Or if you just want to do it on your morning commute, whether you're going to school, college, work, university, whatever, it will be there. Great show, guys, says Clara Al. Joey Schilling says, cheers, guys. Well done, lads, says Rick. Have a good one. Nobody is as late as Sam. I tell you what, the latest person is Neil. He's not done a show for about 2 months and he doesn't answer any messages in the group or anything. But yeah, thanks everybody watching. Thanks everybody listening. A big shout out to Mr. Consistent Andrew. Never lets me down. I know Liam's got a lot on at the minute and Sam is a busy man. And Neil, to be fair, I've given the lad stick. I completely get it. Like Neil's got a young lad, a young girl. Sam's got a very busy job. And obviously Liam's had a lot of other people in his life recently. So no matter what, Andrew will be there and there'll always be a show because me and Andrew will always be available because we just don't have anything going on. No life, no friends, no life. But yeah, the two loners will be back next week. But cheers, Andrew, for coming on. It's a pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I have made contact with an Oxford fan, so hoping to drop a pre-game show tomorrow. Yeah, let's hope for a better result against Oxford this week and not another 0-0, as Chaser Dream says there. 0-0 Tuesday. Hope not, mate. See you later.